Let's move on to a very profound and significant statement, Alexander Nekrassov, that the Russian foreign minister made last week. And it really is, you know, when you talk about how the media and the West has demonized Russia, here you have the foreign minister of Russia coming out and saying, you know, maybe it's time for a reset of relations between Russia and the United States. Why do you think the Russian foreign minister, or Russia obviously, came out and said that at this juncture in time when they were resisting, obviously, the advances made by the U.S., by EU and NATO in their aggression against Russia?
Well, I'll be honest with you. You know, I was surprised to hear Sergei Lavrov say that, because currently the situation is not such that we can talk about any reset with the Americans. I think the Americans are pushing for a conflict. I think the Americans are doing things in Ukraine and around Russia generally that we can't really talk about any sort of detente. We are basically talking about Cold War returning again. But I would like to pick on the point here about the European Union being a model for Russia and the former Soviet Republic. No, it's not a model. No, it's not a good model. It's actually breaking up. It's actually bankrupt. It's actually, the economy is in total disaster just because they are putting out fancy official statistics which mean nothing. It doesn't mean that they have problems. Now, the talk was about Latvia. Is there going to be a confrontation in Latvia similar to the one in Ukraine? No, it won't. Simply because in Ukraine we had a different situation. There was a military coup. A regime came to power which actually announced official policy of being hostile to Russia, hostile to the ethnic Russians in the east and in the south, and was openly planning to start persecuting those people. The Crimean situation, it has to be explained to your viewers what happened there. Because the Crimean situation is not President Putin deciding, okay, let's Crimea become part of Russia. No, it's the people of Crimea. It's the military at that base in Sevastopol who protected those people from a possible attack by those neo-Nazis who came to power in Kiev. They decided to become part of Russia. Putin was secondary in this. Putin just accepted their position. So, and let's just not forget about this. And I think in Latvia there is no danger like that. Yes, there are tensions, but there are tensions not because Russia is trying to stir them up, but because the overall policy of the European Union is a disastrous policy, which is destroying the small nations within that union. Look at Greece. Look at Portugal, look at Ireland, look at Italy, by the way, which is not even a small nation. The countries, their economies are falling apart. The European Union was designed to service Germany and France and a bit of Britain later. All the small countries are suffering. And that is why, by the way, we are seeing problems in the Baltics, because they understand the problems are coming. And that is why they are so nervous. Not just Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania as well. And that is why the Western propaganda, especially from Brussels as well, is trying to stir up problems and trying to accuse Russia of being the reason for all these economic woes of the European Union, which is basically crumbling. It's in debt. It owes so much money, nobody knows what to do. So I think that the situation at the moment is this. I think that both sides in the conflict between the standoff between NATO and Russia, because it is a standoff between NATO and Russia. Let's not forget about this, because all these smaller nations and even the Ukrainian government, they don't really decide what to do. They're being told what to do. I think everybody has to calm down. Everybody has to sit down and think hard what might happen if we continue to pursue this very dangerous course, which will lead us to another world war in Europe. And I think diplomacy has to be given a chance. I got to jump in,
unfortunately. We're fresh out of time, but thank you very much for that. That's former Kremlin advisor Alexander Nekrassov talking to us there from London.